All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I am Chris Gegis, and my assistant here is Nicholas Altamore.
Nick Altamore
Um,
here, Chris's assistant. Chris's
um,
assistant, Nick here.
yeah, we're back again for another live SEO support where you can ask us any kind of questions you want. Generally, it's SEO related, but you can really ask us whatever you want. Maybe you're just a little confused, want a little guidance about something else in life. Hey, we can help. Um,
Maybe you're lonely, just want to hang out and
or
shoot
maybe
it with
you've
us a little
noticed
bit.
that Nick's been working out, trying to turn his life around.
Turning my life around, baby. 6 a.m. wake up call every day at the gym, and let me tell you,
Weren't you already
okay,
waking up at 6 as the
not quite
kid?
that early. Caspian didn't get up that early, and Bree was actually like waking up to like cook his breakfast and stuff. But she's out of town, and I'm on my
Gotcha.
first week of dad duty with school, etc. And it is fucking awesome, man. Just it enables for a lot of routine, and I feel
Yeah.
like that's something that's been missing a long time, and especially working for ourselves routine becomes very important. And sometimes life hits you with a bunch of different types of stressors, etc. And you've got to, kind of pick up those pieces while you're working on your business or any other number of things. But early wake up, workout, eat healthier. And I for the last few years, I haven't really been much of a heavy drinker or anything, but even I've
Well, let's
noticed
let's
a,
let's let's
a couple
rewind a little
things.
bit. So you're
Yeah.
talking about early morning workouts.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah, I
something
like
I've
to.
that's something I've really been thinking about. I right now I'm still doing like after work workouts, and I like them because I basically I don't have to wake up with an alarm clock or something, and also like I get stressed out during the day, and then it like I can just like blow it
Mm.
all off. But I remember I used to do a bunch of morning workouts, and I remember I like that as well. I don't know which way I should go. What do you
So
think?
from like a scientific viewpoint, your testosterone is higher in the early
In the
morning
morning?
hours,
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah.
So you can use that as leverage in your workout, right? Why I like early morning or at least first of the day is I don't like to eat before I go work out. So I always work out
Mm.
on an empty stomach. Typically, I eat more later in the day
You don't
than I
even eat
do
like a
early.
little protein bar or something before you go?
Nothing. No, 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 no. I'll drink my pre-workout and then I'll go, and that's just how I've always done it. And then I typically don't have my first meal till probably around like 1 o'clock or so. Uh, so like I've always intermittent fasting even before I knew or understood what it was. But
Mm.
end of the day, if it helps you relieve stress, that's awesome. But I'd prefer probably like back when I was fighting and stuff. Usually, at the end of the day, I would say for something like a yoga class or stretching class, and it would be
I'm not trying to work
something.
out twice a day.
No, yeah, well, I get it, but it would be to use that like slow down, to wind down, to relax myself for the day. Early
Yeah,
morning was to kind of activate myself, get myself like in the mode.
yeah.
I
It could just like
if
reduce stress throughout the day, so maybe I wouldn't really
yeah,
need that afternoon
I I,
workout or whatever.
I feel like there's like a load of stress off me this week.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
whereas sometimes getting back to the gym can be real tough, I feel like my body has been begging me for some health and some routine.
For sure.
So it's been easy, quite honestly.
Yeah, honestly, just having the glimpses into your life that I do have, um, yeah, it seems like, yeah, you've needed some kind of routine or some kind of structure for quite some time now.
it's
You've just
been
been kind of
it's been tough.
really just floating out there.
Uh,
But yeah,
I yeah.
I have a pretty like strict routine, more or
Mhm.
less. Lots of uninterrupted time, where I can just knock shit out. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
for SEO, for what we do, I feel like uninterrupted time is so important, and it's like so easy when you're single to be focused in something, give all your time to it, not exit it. But then, a lot of SEOs out there, they, like me, have children, and they get sent through the ringer, especially working remotely, and especially before they can start school, because it's very, it's almost impossible to lock in until they've gone to bed. And by that time, it's like you are trying to reset yourself, reset that energy to keep rolling. But I was kind of talking to my aunt about it. I feel like
Let's
it,
wrap it up a little bit though, because
yeah,
we got
yeah,
some
yeah,
questions pouring in. But
yeah, it's
sorry.
fine. Just this one thing, like whenever you find yourself in these situations, it's going to happen as entrepreneurs. It 100% will happen. You will find yourself in extreme stress. You have to remember to stay focused and keep your goal set. And these goal sets have to be very hard lined, and you have to know what it is you're targeting, and that you will eventually get there if you stay persistent. You can use that as momentum to keep things growing during times of stress. But I feel like that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot when starting your own business. And yeah, it's always there. Your hair is going to fall out. But yeah, let's get into the SEO. This is
All
SEO.
right.
It's a very broad business.
So first off, Old Relic on YouTube. I'm not seeing where you dropped your question. Unless I'm not seeing my message requests or something. So yeah, let me know where you dropped your question, Old Relic, and we'll get to you. But otherwise, we'll start getting to some of these other ones, and then we'll get to our backlog. Hey, Teeth Health Central. I'm okay. How are you? Um, let's see what we got here. All right. When creating profile links using unique description is index faster? Um, I don't really know too much, to be completely honest with you on that. I wouldn't expect it to influence how fast things get indexed. But if you watched any of our other shows before, something we talk about pretty often is how we don't worry about indexing pillow links at all. And profile links are definitely something we would consider a pillow link. There are these very natural links that anybody can go and make at any time. It's user-generated content, essentially. You can go on a million websites and create a million profiles. And we don't think it's important for you to try to index these things, and we don't think it's important for them to even become indexed at any point ever. We think Google's is having a tougher and tougher time indexing everything because the internet's just growing exponentially, right? And they just, these types of things, we don't think they're important for basically when people are searching on Google. No one wants to see your profile page. It's just not something that Google thinks is important for searchers. And B, they just don't have the resources to display every single profile of every single person and business across the entire internet on every social media site ever. And yeah, so we don't think it's important to get them indexed. We don't think they need to be indexed. We don't think being indexed for these types of links means they are good or bad or whatever. So I wouldn't worry about it at all. As far as using unique description goes, I would say it's definitely a good thing. These things aren't really like super influential or whatever, but I would definitely say it's a best practice just because you can use more keywords. For that reason alone, you can basically just kind of use different keywords and different keyword variations in each profile you make to kind of just send more of an overall kind of good signal to Google about what your business does rather than the same thing over and over and over and over again, right? Do you have anything on that, Nick?
No. Yeah, that's about right. I mean, just imagine how murky or muddy the SERPs would be if every contractor's listing across Angie's List and the other 100 profiles they had, was indexed and in there. Chances are, if Google wants to index something, then unique description is going to help overall, and it's best practice all in all. But overall, like you said, not something that we would really focus on, and we've talked about it quite a lot.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just checking one more time for message requests, but I'm just not seeing anything.
Let me check mine.
Or maybe he sent it to Sir Links. I don't know.
No.
It says he sent it to me, but anyway. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I wanted to ask about internal links. I'm currently doing internal links by creating an H4 header at the end of the article, then I add related links. Okay, so
That's more like what's
yeah,
the
it sounds like a
plugin that we
footer or
use?
something,
Yeah,
or
the
like related articles that you're
related
doing.
article. Yeah.
So
So it
as
is an internal link, but it's not
yeah, so
typically what we
generally
talk about.
when people talk about internal links, the most important kind of internal links, I guess I'll just pull up a little
Yeah.
pull up one of the case studies I just did. All right, so yeah, we're just looking at a link building case study that I did recently, one of my most recent, or the most recent one. And so when we're talking about internal links, the most important internal link that we're generally talking about are contextual, meaning that it appears in the paragraph, like this one right here. It's actually in the paragraph of whatever the article is about, whatever the page is about, and you're just linking to things naturally like that. These are the most important ways to do internal linking. Everything else, like things on your sidebar, or for example, down here at the bottom, we have, like, for example, we have the author box, and we have these related posts right here where they would link to other case studies or whatever. I guess this isn't a good example because we don't have a ton of case studies up at the moment. But yeah, for example, this right here is, I think, in H6. Actually, we didn't want it at all, but just the builder that we're using doesn't allow for it to be in a paragraph tag, so it is an H tag. But yeah, in general, you want to just link to stuff, in your paragraph, in a paragraph tag, in information like this, and link internally and contextually in a way that makes sense and that isn't forced or whatever. That being said, for example, down here at the very bottom of the page, we've got like these links down here. These are not in H tags. This is our footer. These are not H tags. These are paragraph tags as well. I try, you should try to, or I would say you should try to use H tags only to show Google about the structure of your article. Google doesn't care. H tags are used to show sections of the article and how it flows together, and it helps the machine understand just how everything's flowing, right? And so, we make a conscious effort to not have H tags and other things if it's possible. Like, there's no H tags in any of this. Even though this is big, this is not an H tag. This is not an H tag. These are all paragraph tags that are just big. They're just bigger text sizes. So if you looked at the on page of this page, all of the H tags would just be like over here, like in the the titles of each section of the article, or at least the large majority of them, except for down here. But like I said, I would change these and not have those H tags either if I could. But yeah, hopefully that helps. You want to be linking in your information in contextually in paragraph tags. As far as other stuff, if they have to be an H tag, you can do that. But in general, I try not to make them H tags, just to try not to confuse Google at all and let them understand the article very easily.
Yeah, the only time I could see that maybe kind of making sense is if it's like an academic style article and then the related stuff down in the bottom is like citations or something. But even still, not sure about that because I'm not typically writing academic journal type stuff. But yeah, also in regards to the practice of doing some sort of like related post down at the bottom, that's fine. But like Chris said, when we talk about internal linking, we're typically talking about contextual links, interlinks within the articles themselves.
Yep.
So
All
hope
right.
that helps.
Let's see what we got here. I heard people saying that Google gives more weight to links that are in the text as anchors. Yes, exactly. So that's what we were just talking about, right? That's what a contextual link is. A contextual link is a link that is actually in the body of the article, right? You're actually reading the article and links are in there, naturally, rather than, on your footer or your sidebar or something where it's just giving a list of other stuff they can click on. Google seems to weigh these types of links more heavily. And, it also helps Google understand what exactly you're doing or why you're linking to that thing, by providing context. That's why they call them contextual, because it has all of these other words around the link. It's within a sentence. So Google can start to kind of piece even more things together of what you're writing about, the topic you're writing about, and how it's related to what you're linking to. And this really helps Google understand kind of these topical clusters or whatever you want to call them, to basically show how things are related, how things are relevant, how things are important to each other and stuff like that. So yeah, contextual links are always the best. And this goes for backlinks as well. Even if you're not talking about internal links, let's talk about backlinks. It's the same exact thing with backlinks. Can a footer link be good for you? Sure. Would I much rather have a contextual link in an article, like a guest post or an editorial link or whatever? Very much yes. It's not to say that other links can't be good for you, but when possible, I would 100% of the time, much rather have that nice contextual link rather than something that's not contextual and just doesn't have any other kind of information around it.
Same time, though, the larger your site gets, the more you're going to want to kind of diversify where things come from, or it's not a bad practice to be able to do so. But yeah, especially if you're buying links. I don't know anybody selling footer links somewhere unless it's just spammed out Fiverr stuff.
Yeah, it's a pretty old school tactic, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not something you
And it can
generally.
easily backfire on you. There's ways to do it to where it seems fairly natural, and even those ways, Google knows when a web developer, or like an agency, local agency that builds websites, puts their brand at the bottom. Not to say that it doesn't help a bit, especially if everything's natural, and if these are legitimate clients, but at the same time, it's not something that we would do in the gray hat area, for sure. No
Gotcha.
footprints, that is.
Um, all right, so Old Relic, I got your question now. And yeah, we'll get to it here in just a minute. Let's see. Henry Bajarmi, are you guys hiring interns? If you go ahead and send us a message on our go ahead and send us an email at here. I'll just write our email here. info@sirlinksalat.co. Go ahead and send us an email there, Henry. We might actually be looking for some people to help with automation on a few different types of things here moving forward. But yeah, just go ahead and send an email and we'll get to you. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and get to this question over here. And this is going to be a little bit of we're actually going to look at a website. Let me just get Ahrefs all pulled up first. And we're not going to show the website, but yeah, we're going to kind of analyze something for him. All right. Sorry, guys, just bear with me 1 second. Let me switch to the other graphs. There we go.
Looks like it's doing all right to me.
Now my screenshot button stopped working. I don't know why Windows does that.
It does that sometimes, yeah, and it's always at this time where you're like, here, let me try and get it for you. It might just be a little bit more.
Do you have the website? Can you see it?
No, I'm looking at it through your screen.
Here, I'll send it to you real quick.
Oh.
Why is it failing? Looks like Facebook really doesn't like the
Here, just
I
just pull
I sent it to
pull.
you. Yeah, that really bugs me how the Windows screenshot thing just stopped working. You have to reset your computer to
I've
do it because I use it
yeah,
all the time. Like,
I've looked at fixes for it, and it's just this annoying ass labyrinth of shit that you can avoid by just restarting the computer.
yeah.
Which easiest way. All right, almost there.
Yeah, just give a good screenshot of the main overview page with the traffic and keywords graph.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, looks like they're going to be changing up on us pretty soon. That's going to be a big change when they change this overview 2.0.
Are they going with that
I
full
mean,
time?
it seems like everything that they introduce as 2.0, they're eventually shifting to that as the new main thing, right?
I don't know if I like that, to be honest
It's
with you.
just we're so used to seeing it the other way.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's weird. I don't like how
there
the
you go.
okay, sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I'm not
Where'd you
a
send
huge
this to
fan
me?
of it, but I guess, Skype messages.
Okay. Um, yeah, so probably not even super important that we even show this. But anyway,
It
okay.
just looks better while we're talking about it. It's like,
All right. So his question was finally, here we go. Looking at the backlink profile, can I already use PBN without revealing the domain? So yeah, he's got his website here and he's asking us if it's okay for him to use PBN links. And so just looking at it real quick, you can see his traffic is, a little close to 1K. It's got a bunch of keywords coming in, DR14, 79 referring domains. Taking a quick look at it, I would just go ahead and say, yeah, you're probably fine. Um, and but we can also look at it a little more deeply. We can go ahead and look at your backlink profile real quick if we want to, and just make sure it's not like complete spam, right? Um, Looks like you got some like guest post type stuff in here. Um, it all looks nice and relevant. Yeah, I mean, I would just looking at things real quick. I would say you're definitely good to go ahead and start using PBN
about
links.
that.
What would you say, Nick?
Did you hit the anchors?
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah, you can hit it with PBN links.
Anchors. Let's see what we got.
All right.
I always just click off the exclude subdomains.
Nice.
All right, so anchors are definitely
Yeah,
looking
it's
a little
fine.
unnatural. My advice to you would be if you're going to use PBNs at this point, just send them to your homepage, man. Send them to your
Yeah,
homepage and use
branded naked.
yeah, natural anchors. So branded anchor text, URL anchor text, generic anchor text to your homepage. We can also look at his pages, best by links, and see if he's linking to his inner pages a little heavily, which I'm guessing he's going to be a bit. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
see, you have a weak homepage. Let's say about 10%, or not 10, a little more than 10% of your links are going to your homepage, and you don't have that many links. You've only got 79 referring domains at this point, so you really don't have. I would be focusing only on your homepage at this point, and you have inner pages that have just as many links as your homepage or more, and you have quite a good amount of them that have just about as the same number of links as your homepage. So yeah, I would definitely, if you're going to use PBN, I would just go homepage only, natural anchors, and I wouldn't do too many, because you only have 79 referring domains, so don't go crazy with them. You can build a few if you want, but other than that, I would keep doing more than normal natural stuff for now. Niche edits, guest posts, that kind of thing. You have anything else to add on that, Nick?
No, that sounds good. But it looks like he's off to a good start.
Gotcha. Sorry. Let's look at this. I think we want to move Skype over here because I don't want to actually exit it. All right. Um, see. Do you guys use Link Whisperer? I think it's Link Whisperer. If so, does it slow the website down a lot? Actually, I do not use Link Whisperer, but I've definitely heard of it. And I think what it
Yeah, same.
is a interlinking tool. Yeah, it is. Okay, I'll go ahead and pull this up. Let's go ahead and just take a quick look at it real quick. And yeah, this isn't, like I just said, it's not something we use, but we can talk about it. And I actually have seen, I've seen it around. I've seen the name mentioned around quite a bit, so I know people are mentioning it. I don't know if it slows down your website. But yeah, basically what it's doing is it's suggesting ways to do internal links, right? It's finding content that it thinks are related, and it's linking to them. I don't see myself using this anytime soon, and the reason is because for stuff like what I consider very important on-page things, which is stuff like setting your title tag, setting your URL slug, setting your H1s, your H tags, doing your meta description, and adding your internal links. I consider these things very important and something that I would not leave to automation. I would much rather do it myself and do it exactly how I want to do it than let something that doesn't know SEO as well as me try to do it automatically. That's just kind of where I stand on it, but I know people do use it. It's just I'm not there yet, and but maybe I'm wrong. What do you think, Nick?
I mean, I don't see myself using it just based on like even in automation for me, it's typically geared towards human capital because you've got a better ability to kind of control, the variables that you're kind of playing with. And internal linking, I just don't see myself like I don't see that being something that I would shoot off to something like that.
And let me
It just doesn't. Yeah.
so let me just show you something as well. So for example,
But maybe if you're like generating massive amounts of like auto-generated content or AI content and it's like working out and you kind of find a stride within that niche, which I don't do, then maybe I could see big purpose for a tool like this. But, uh, like Chris said, neither of us have used it. So we're kind of just shooting in the dark here based on what we do, right?
but at the
But
same
yeah.
time, I will say a little something more on this. I just don't see. I just don't understand why you'd want to lose control, and also you have to pay for it. Where you can do it
Yeah.
very easily
Yeah.
yourself, like very easily. Like it take a couple seconds, and you can do it better. So what I did here is I just typed in site colon. So I'm searching, Sir Links-a-Lot. We're searching our website only, SirLinks-a-Lot.co, and then I just typed in guest posts after that. So I'm searching our site for guest posts, and Google is showing us the content on our website that it thinks is most relevant to guest post. And so, if I had just written a new article on guest posts and for some reason, I didn't know the site very well and I was really having a hard time, I didn't know what to interlink to, you could just do this. You can just see what Google thinks are things that are related to it. And you could just go and you look through right here and just see, should I link to this one? Should I link to this one? Should I link to this one? And they're all just things that are very related to guest posts as far as what Google feels about them.
Looking at, I mean, like just running through it real quick. I can see how somebody a little bit newer to SEO might feel comfortable using something like this. Like it does, if you're limited on the amount of tools you have, or like maybe you don't really know how to do keyword research too well or something, maybe this would,
Yeah, okay.
help out
That's
there.
fair enough. There are some tools that we would never use that for a person who is really kind of in over their head and they're
Yeah.
not quite at the point of understanding everything correctly, then it might be good for them. But at the
Apparently it
same
does
time,
nice reports too, like orphaned post, broken links, 404 errors, internal links, links found, post crawled. So
But you could
and
just
it's
get
got like
Screaming
some
Frog as
stream.
well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a different tool.
But then, it's a tool that you don't have to pay for on every single website you work on, right? This one,
Oh, this one you do?
yeah, you're on this, you're paying, it looks
Mm.
like you're paying on per website license, basically.
Oh,
It
that'll
gets
rack
it gets
up.
cheaper as you do more, so you could buy like a little bulk thing and the price goes way down. Um, but yeah, if you're very new, you're not going to be working on 10 sites, first of all. You're going to be
$77 a site. I mean,
so I don't know. I don't
oh,
I don't want to bash on Link Whisperer too much.
me
It's just
either.
not something that I plan on using anytime soon, and yeah, that's why. All right, let's see what we got next. Hello, Bartov. I believe we got this question in our group the other day, but all right. When creating backlinks, does IP address matter? So I'll let you answer because this is definitely more. I feel like this is kind of like a
No,
PBN question,
not unless you're building.
or
So, okay, let's put our tinfoil hat on. If you're building on Chrome, hypothetical, Google's got all your info, right?
oh, he's saying when creating backlinks. So he's talking about like
Yeah,
creating pillow links or something.
yeah, sure. Now, so I'm going to say that I don't really, well, I'm also automating all of that at this point in time. The only time I really got into worrying about that was early on, and I used this. God, it was such a confusing platform. It had so many different facets, but God, I cannot remember the name of it. I mean, it's been probably like 5 years. But anyhow, long story short, it's not something I really worry about. Now, mind you, when I'm doing like
Like
PBN
host
linking,
IP address.
um, oh, is that what he's
I don't
talking
know. I'm just
about?
kind of throwing that in there.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, host IP address would matter, especially on something like I'm about to talk about, which is PBN,
Yeah.
right? Even with PBN, if I'm manually from my computer, like making links on PBN sites, then I'm typically going to use Firefox or another browser. And I'm going to do things through there, which like, again, it's tinfoil hatty. I don't necessarily think Google is like, sniping such small scale stuff, but hypothetically, they could. So from that perspective, like I do use another browser. I keep my IP address, you know, internal to what I'm doing and away from quote Google's eyes. Hypothetically, if they were to look, which again, it's paranoia in my opinion, and it's crazy. Um, Now, mind you, if you're doing something like building backlinks across a lot of social profiles, etc., then masking your IP address does sometimes, it's something that you do have to do, especially when you're building massive amounts of like, yeah, social profile links or like Web 2.0s, etc. They're tracking what you're doing and they don't want a bunch of bots creating a bunch of spammy stuff. So there you might get a bit technical with what you're doing as far as IP masking goes. But for the most part, I'm not using a proxy or a VPN or anything like that to do my backlinking. Like I said, that one tool I tried years ago, it automated all that for you, but it was crazy confusing and in my opinion, not necessary. And if you're asking this question, um, just to limit any kind of paranoia, just use a different browser when you're working on stuff. That would be my advice. And if you're doing outreach through Gmail, consider that that's also Google.
Um, yeah. So, you know, I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry about, for the most part, when you're creating backlinks, I wouldn't worry about your IP address. The big thing would be, if you're creating a PBN network, your host, where the sites are hosted, you're gonna want to spread out on different hosts so their IPs are different or whatever, and make it look a little bit more natural. But other than that, I feel like if you're creating like pillow links or something, like you're going out and creating like social profiles or forum comments or something, I wouldn't worry about IP at all. If you're going out and trying to score like guest posts or something, then it just doesn't matter as well. Yeah, I'm not sure why we've got this question 2 times in the past week. It's something we've never been asked before, and it's something we just got asked twice, very in a small time frame. So I'm not really sure where this is coming from. I don't know if there's an article on this or something recently, but it's not something that we worry about at all. It's not something that I ever.
I mean, people asking this question are typically they've been diving down the rabbit hole of PBN.
Yeah, so that's what I was
link
thinking.
building
For PBN,
typically.
then yeah, definitely make sure the hosts are
Mhm.
kind of spread out, right? Don't want to create any footprints.
Well, yeah, but not only just the host, but also, hiding your IP address from accessing the WP admin to a bunch of sites under
I
Google, right?
gotcha.
And again, that's like there was, this is from back in the day too. I guess that's why I tried out that tool. There was a SEO very popular who was just tinfoil hat everything, and they like to the T operated like some sort of security person when it came to hiding who they were and backlinking. I think it's a little bit crazy,
Yeah.
but everybody's got their own recipe, and who knows, maybe if you're not at least somewhat careful with it, like I said, it got me to use at least a different browser if I'm going to be doing stuff like that. So I guess a little bit of that tinfoil lives in me as well.
All right. Um, Old Relic to your thanks. You're welcome, man. Visconde. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but let's see what we got here. Um, so he asks, what's the value of Behance, Zippy Share, and such? And actually had to look this
They're
up.
just Web 2.0s or, diversity style links, foundational
Yeah,
links,
I looked it up
filler links.
while you're talking. So Behance looks like a website you can basically share like kind of like artwork on, some kind of art projects. It looks like it's sponsored by Adobe or made by Adobe or whatever. So you can just share Photoshop stuff, whatever that you've created. So yeah, we'd consider this basically essentially a social media site.
It's one of the most popular and widely used Web 2.0s, actually,
Is it a
Behance
Web
is.
2.0 or would you just consider this social media?
No, it's a Web 2.0. I'm pretty sure. I thought it used
Okay, let's
subdomains.
see.
You built out like a profile.
No, so I'm on someone's page right now, and it's not a subdomain or anything.
Mm.
They've just got their little profile here, and then they've got their work. So I definitely consider this like a social media site. So any links that you get from this, I would consider social signals, which is not something that is weighted super heavily or whatever. But we still think they're it's good to have something like this. It just shows Google that you have a presence on other platforms around the internet and stuff as well, right? So you can see, yeah, right here on their profile, they've got their link right here. So I would consider this a social profile link, essentially. Um, yeah. I don't know if you can put links in your actual, I don't think
Mm.
you can put them on the actual things. I think it's just only your profile. Um, yeah, I just say it's 100% social profile.
Mm.
No subdomain. You're not creating a website here.
It
It's
looks
not a
like
web
you
2.0.
I'm pretty sure they come in our diversity links, and let me see if they're on our Web 2.0 list. But either
It's been
way,
such a long time since I've looked at our
it's
diversity
it's
links. I don't know if they are in our
nothing.
diversity links.
I'd be kind
Um,
of surprised.
but anyway, yeah, diversity links or not, or Web 2.0 or not, either way, we'd still
Yeah,
consider this
it's
something that's essentially a pillow link.
foundational still.
It's not going to
Yeah.
carry the same amount of weight as something like a guest post, a niche edit, a PBN link, an editorial link, a Haro link, any of these like, link contextual links from articles about whatever. These are the real gold that you're after, right? Everything else, they help things to look natural, and they help send Google some other signals about your website and stuff, but they're not weighted in the same kind of way as those other types of links. So we like to use these links as far as just like trying to keep things looking natural, trying to add some diversity to your backlink profile so you don't have just like a ton of guest posts, right? It's just not normal for that to exist. Yeah, so it can help just kind of paint a more natural picture for Google to make sure you don't get in any kind of trouble. All right. Da, 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 da. What would be the optimum amount of content shared per month? I've read about 10K to 30K words. There's no optimum amount. Optimum amount is as much as you can possibly do, to be honest with you.
That's
It's
quality and optimized. Yeah.
correct. Yeah, sorry. I'm not saying to go just put a ton of crap on your website or whatever, even though sometimes that can actually work as far as just getting
Yeah.
something up and then, letting it kind of sit there for a while, letting it age or whatever, and then replacing it later. But yeah, there's no optimal amount. The optimal amount is as much as you can possibly do. The question becomes how much time or how much money do you have to grow your project as quickly as possible? Because at the end of the day, quick growth is better than slow growth, right? Like if you could create a monster website in one day versus in 10 years, I mean, you want the one day, right? So the optimal amount of content.
Unless it's not sustainable, I would say. Well, if it's a fast cash grab, then maybe still. Who cares?
But yeah, so all I'm saying is, it's as much as you can possibly do, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to change for every person, right? So, you might be completely working on your own, you might be writing all your content yourself, and that means you still have to do all the other stuff too. And, you've got to work on your backlinks, you got to maintain your website and other technical SEO stuff. Maybe you're trying to get clients as well. I don't really know exactly what you've got going on, but you've got to handle all this other stuff and content, right? And so, you just have to figure it how you can fit it into your work schedule, your priorities and whatnot, and kind of go from there. Um,
Mhm.
I'll just add something we talked about, I think it was last week, that you definitely, especially when the site's younger, I would even say you probably want to prioritize content over backlinks. Like you still should be building some backlinks. You need to be building backlinks like even in the beginning to kind of get things moving, get things rolling. But content would probably be more of your priority in the beginning and just a smaller amount of time and money on backlinks. And then as time moves forward, maybe it's a more of an equal mix of how much time you're spending on content, how much time you're spending on backlinks, or how much money you're spending on content or backlinks. But yeah, it's really gonna change per just per person and what kind of content you're writing, what kind of team you have or budget. Got anything else on that, Nick?
You got it, sir.
All right. Let's see what we got here. I actually took this from your
Hey, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for the first damn time this
shit.
entire show. Oh my God, we're
Yeah,
bad at
like, comment,
this.
subscribe. Join us in the Facebook group SEO Roundtable. For some reason, YouTube gets more questions on the live stream, but in our Facebook group SEO Roundtable, or you can just search for Sir Links a lot in Facebook groups. We're in there every single day. We post stuff every day. We're answering questions every single day. So definitely head over to there if you're not there already. But yeah, so I took this question actually from the poll you made, and I guess I can pull that up too, even though it's not really done going yet. But are normal TLDs like .com better than the newer ones like .xyz? What do you think about that, Nick?
Yeah, so it's funny. I put a post up
Yeah,
this
I'll pull it up.
morning about that. And so, what I was kind of considering is obviously Sir Links a lot is .co, right? And that's because we didn't want to pay for .com. .co, I know it's .columbia. A lot of people think it's .company. It's not. I just liked it because it's short and sweet, and it still went with the branding that we wanted. Plus, Sir Links a lot is niche down in a it's subject matter that digital marketers know. We put our faces out there, etc. So the thought of having to appeal to people that aren't very internet savvy doesn't really come into play there. But in consideration to any affiliate or local site that I'm going to build, and this has come up a lot when I see people kind of, choosing domains to prep up to, start a project. If you talk to people that aren't very savvy, Chris and I were talking to somebody at one point that, he was like, it's not on a .com or .net, and he's our age, that I don't trust it. And we kind of made fun of him, right? Because we thought it's funny, but it's there's a large portion of the population that's not very internet savvy, that still thinks the internet is just, you got to be really careful. And to an extent you do, right? Um, so from that perspective, I just play it safer, and I try and always go with a normal TLD like .com, .net, maybe
Up for our
.org, but
business.
it still looks weird. Yeah, and I mean we could, but again, it's niche down with digital marketing. I find it hard to believe there's many people. I mean, like, think about how many websites we pay out to that are like .io or .xyz or random stuff. I feel like it's maybe not the majority, but it's a huge percentage. And I don't consider the TLD in aspects to whether I trust a website or not. I've got, we've been on the internet long enough to kind of be able to gauge a website by different types of issues we might run into.
Yeah.
But yeah, TLD for that wouldn't be one for me. But any local site or affiliate site that I plan on marketing to the average person, it's going to be a normal or, a more widely used TLD.
Yeah. I think, maybe in something like SEO, we could probably get away with more like in the kind of tech world, you see a lot of like
Yeah.
.io, .co,
Yeah.
stuff like
Unless
that.
you're an agency, maybe, because then you're going to be talking to local Joe
Yeah, yeah,
Schmoes,
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, so that's the only thing I would really think about, like Nick was saying. I don't think as far as ranking goes, I don't think it really matters at all.
No.
I would just yeah, factor in who your users are going to be, who's going to be on your website and how they might feel about that. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if I got anything else on that.
Yeah. Now, I think for personal branding, I guess I'll just jump in that. Like, the founder of WordPress, Matt, whatever, he owns MA.TT, Trinidad and Tobago, and he talks about it in a podcast with Tim Ferriss about navigating and picking up that domain. But in stuff where maybe you are, like I was saying earlier, more niche down, that's dedicated to himself. You can kind of find fun things to play with like that I don't think you're going to run into trust issues so long as they are branded behind, a movement based on like a person or something like that.
Okay. Hey, Visconde, I'm having a little trouble understanding your question. You're saying you're having trouble reaching for people. Do you mean like outreach? Like you're trying to get backlinks or something? Just trying to let us try to clarify your question a little bit and then we'll answer it more.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
Um, let's answer this one real quick while we're waiting. This was from our group as well. Do you care that some websites have marks? The websites are marked right for us when you are trying to get backlinks. And the short answer is yes. Yes, we do. So right for us on a website pretty much is telling Google and the entire world that basically anyone can get a link on this website.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's definitely something that we look at. And it's exactly why, for example, we're a link building agency. So all the guest posts we sell, all the niche edits we sell, we check for this. And if it's on the website, we don't sell links on that website. It's one of the big checks that we do, right? And yeah, so but okay. So as far as could I get a link on this website if I wanted to? And the answer to that's a little more it's a little bit of a longer answer, right? Because I don't necessarily think that they're bad. I don't think really almost any backlink is bad.
Yeah.
Links can do good things for you, even if it has right for us. So, what would I go after links like this regularly? Absolutely not. Might I get one every now and then if it's free or super cheap and the website is real nice and has good metrics and whatnot. Yeah, you can go ahead and get a couple of them for you. But your main focus should really be on the stuff that is harder to get. They don't so clearly advertise, "Hey, come come write for us, and you can have a backlink," right?
Right.
That's just something in general you want to not make a regular part of your backlink profile. Like you don't want 10%, 20%. You don't want any high big percentage of your backlinks to come from sites like this. Um, but, at the end of the day, having a couple of them, they probably actually do a little help for you.
Yeah. If you are going to play with them, then diversification is the name of the game. Don't have a entire backlink profile that is on sites that have right for us pages. Just sprinkle them in and consider them more like, a kind of pillowing type thing. And then again, we talked about this before. If you are unsure about the quality of a site or the backlink, then just do homepage natural anchor, right? Best practice. Be safe with it. And honestly, you don't really have to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get Visconde here. I'm just going to kind of pull up the whole big question.
Check this.
All right, so he's talking about, he's doing outreach for his website, trying to get some guest
Right.
post links. He says, I'm in a really niche category, Brazilian and diaspora culture, percussion classes, and so on. I'm having a little difficulty reaching for people in my category. I'm having a hard time getting people on board, even with good writing samples. The sites I reached would reach out in my niche quoted me for more than $400 for a guest post. So that's, you bat them down. If they're quoting you $400, ask them if they'll accept $40 this one time. No, I'm serious. Like you
Yeah.
play hardball
Yeah,
with
I
these
know. Who's
people.
not gonna? Yeah, I mean, if they're accepting money, then a lot of times they're just doing that.
You
Granted,
know,
the quality of the site's probably going to dictate some of that, but most, I think,
a lot
uh,
of websites.
webmasters don't know
Well,
why
a
they're
lot of
pricing.
people they'll just try to get the highest price out of you that they can. And so, show them that you know what the game is, and the game is not $400 a link in most cases. Some sites they don't really know how it works, and they're like, "That's the price,"
Yeah.
and they might stick to that. But in general, most of them you can negotiate with quite a lot. So I would definitely try to work that price down. Unless you really think it's a really good link, I would definitely wouldn't pay $400 directly to a website like that. Um, I mean,
Well,
it
unless
depends on
it's
the site. It could be
yeah,
a
it
nice
depends on
site.
the
It could be
site.
a nice high authority site, and that could just be the price. But in general, for most sites, you definitely try to negotiate with them, and don't be like. I was watching an interview. I can't remember who it was with, and they had a good quote that I thought was true. And their quote was, "When you're negotiating backlink prices, don't like you whatever price that you start your negotiations with, it should be so low that it embarrasses you." So like they ask for $400, just be like, "Yeah, can you do it this one time for $25?"
You got 25
Like,
bucks,
and it's
man.
so far off and it's so crazy that it
It's
makes you're like at first you're like, I
going to a
can't ask
garage
that.
sale.
But the thing is, yes, you can ask for it.
Yeah.
And it just shows them that you're so far off. Because if you're not going to pay $400 for that link, you might as well just lowball them really hard and see if you can get them to come down drastically on that price, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing you don't want to pay $400 for that link if you're writing this question about it. Um,
And
uh,
even if you piss them off, I mean, when y'all find the floor on that post, then they're going to take the money no matter what after haggling with you. It's not like they're just going to be well. Some people might be egotistical about it, but I don't think
I wouldn't worry
it's
about
few
pissing them
and
off.
far
Just be
between. Yeah.
nice. Like, sorry, I can't do that, but could you do $25 this one time? It'd really help me, or whatever.
Yeah, especially if
It's
you're adding the
business. It's
content.
business. You're not insulting them. You're just that's not in your budget, right?
Hmm.
Um, but other than that, you said you're in a really niche category, Brazilian diaspora culture, percussion classes, and so on. So, of course, it'd be really nice to get links on stuff that's all about Brazilian culture, all about diaspora culture, all about percussion classes or whatever. But you could also broaden your horizons quite a bit and just go after
Yep.
music related sites, right? Or just culture in general or lifestyle. All links from these types of websites, which are very broad categories and will write about a bunch of different things, all make complete sense to link to a site like yours. Like your website is not going to get links from just sites about
Well,
Brazilian stuff or diaspora stuff. They're going to get links from a huge variety of stuff,
Well,
right?
and yeah, consider it from a competitive standpoint too. It's like if a website in your specific niche comes to you and says, "Hey, can I get a link on your website? We're in the same SERPs competing for the same people." Um, the answer is going to be no. So you're probably going to have, better success rate if you kind of branch out a little bit, and it should still lead Google to inject a lot more trust into you and niche relevance, even if it's a bit more broad.
All right. Yeah, we've got a few minutes left, guys. I know we've got some more questions, so we're going to answer the ones that are there. If you have any other questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat real quick, or else we're going to answer what's left, and we're going to go ahead and take off. Are there some differences when building SEO for online stores over building it for a blog? What do you think, Nick?
Not for me. I don't have any website that's mine or that I work on. There probably are some in Sir Links a lot client section, but that don't have both informational and selling articles on them, right? So is SEO different? No, not really. Now, sometimes you might run into like permalinks issues if you're using specific like shop styles, e-commerce styles, and things like that. And in that case, the on page becomes a bit different.
Yeah, I was just going to say
Um,
the on page, if you're
but
doing like a bunch
that's
of
yeah.
products and whatnot,
Hmm.
your site's going to kind of take on a little bit of a different kind of structure, and your on page and your schema and all the stuff you include for products and product reviews, reviews of the product and all that stuff is going to be a little bit different or whatever. But
Hmm.
like what Nick was saying, at the end of the day, you're probably going to want to do a bunch of informational content as well, on a blog roll, have a blog roll on your website as well to get people onto your website. And as far as doing SEO goes, it's more or less the same. You're building backlinks to your homepage, your important category pages, maybe some individual product pages, practicing good interlinking, all that stuff. Same standard, the most important on-page stuff, your URL slugs, your H1s, your titles, all that stuff. Everything's kind of the same, just a little bit different as far as the structure and the schema and the actual content of the product pages and that kind of thing. Um, I offered to write some pieces in exchange for a guest post. So I'm guessing it means writing more, like writing more content for them in exchange for a guest
Yeah.
post. Since I'm an expert in the area, is that feasible? It's
Yeah.
definitely feasible, but we're in 2022 now, and you have to understand that any website that is ranking is getting bombarded with link outreach emails every single day. I don't even know how many link outreach emails we get every single day, and we're a link building company. So, it's extremely scattershot. People, it's all automated. It's most of the extreme majority of them are just very low quality, zero effort emails. But it doesn't change the fact that we're websites are getting them every single day and lots of
Hy-
them.
hy-
And
Hypothetical.
well,
Uh, Go ahead.
I was just going to finish real quick. So I was going to
Yeah.
say, So yes, it's feasible that you could do some extra writing for them to get a guest post. It's feasible technically, like winning the lottery is technically feasible.
I don't
But
think
in
it's on that
general, in
level.
2022, a lot of the time it's going to come down to money. Unless you are like a serious
Dude,
expert in the
but
niche and you
yeah.
can bring like a serious, like well-researched article that is not really something that other people are doing, and you're gonna have
Mhm.
to kind of show examples of that. And we're talking about like serious stuff
Yeah, because I mean,
with like new ideas being added and like new like data and stuff like that, or studies, or
see, you're getting crazy with that.
no
I'm
no
like,
no it
I would accept
people don't just give
like
out free stuff.
three solid articles. Like, let's say it's an affiliate website, and I don't have articles about this subject matter,
So
or
email Nick for free if you want to write
well, I was going to
blog posts
say
for links.
hypothetical. Somebody with extreme SEO knowledge that does it to the degree that we do it offers us three well-written 1,000-word articles for a backlink on our site, and you read the samples, and they are like what we would write
They have
ourselves.
to be good.
Yeah, they'd have to be good, but I'd be like,
We
come
we
on,
haven't
we can
accepted a
give you
single
multiple
guest post on
links.
Sir Links a lot at this point.
No, we have not.
So that's
Oh, well,
that's what you're working with. That's
yeah.
you know that's your and that's what how a lot of sites operate. We just delete it all. Like, just no guest posts. Um, so I'm just saying, just the chances of it happening are very low. In general, people know the game at this point. A lot of the times, money is going to be involved. If money's not involved, quality is going to be very high, and your email is also going to have to reach them, right? So
Yeah.
it's going to start in your outreach process, and your outreach to them is going to have to be very targeted and good for it to even just to make it past their initial, oh, it's another person wanting links, delete. So just starting from the very beginning, you're going to have to, um, it's gonna be an uphill battle to try to get free links doing stuff like that, but definitely possible.
If
Uh,
you have no other recourse of action, like if you're limited on money but you're a writer, don't. I would say that's not a terrible strategy to try and at least get some momentum going. And it's going to be harder than cold hard cash for sure. I agree with you there, but I don't think it's as bleak as
so my perspective. Did you freeze or did you just like? Are you just okay? Never mind.
micro.
So my perspective is that I would rather spend the time just like negotiating and casting a little bit of a wider net rather than looking for this kind of like more like unicorn scenario.
Yeah.
Um, you can get links for pretty decently priced if you put in the time and you're negotiating and you're doing all that stuff. But if it's not possible, maybe like Haro would be good for you, or yeah, going doing this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's gonna definitely take some time, right? Um, yeah. Not really sure about this one, but I'll go ahead and put it up. Link velocity versus content velocity. Um, and Nick mentioned this earlier, and the best velocity is just what you can sustain. Link velocity, there's not it's not it does it's not really there's not a number of links or something like that. There's not a set rule
There's
you basically just want to be able to sustain whatever you're doing. And so yeah, you could start off super strong and then you could slow down, but you're still building links or whatever. Or you could be building links and do one month where you have built a ton of links and then you go back to kind of your normal building. And that this could all look natural to Google, right? Because websites, not everything is just this steady link velocity or these certain numbers that they're looking at. Websites could go viral for whatever reason. They produce a good piece of content and it gets a lot of links, or maybe they're just marketing it and they're pushing it around everywhere themselves, and it's getting a lot of attention and whatnot. It's completely normal. In general, just for backlinks, you just want to keep it going over time. And in the beginning, of course, you want to be focused much more on your homepage and natural anchor text rather than hitting a bunch of like inner pages with exact match anchors and that kind of thing. And yeah, content velocity we talked about before. Just keep pumping out as much as you possibly can, right? Just however much you can do. Just keep going. It's
it,
better to be always adding content than to not be adding content at all.
I'd say that it definitely looks more natural too, that as the content velocity goes up, link velocity can, go up as well. It makes sense that a site that's growing is going to get more press on the back end, et cetera. But that's not to say that there's not websites out there that don't do any kind of online, kind of business movements, and they run commercials and get traffic and backlinks that way. All of this is,
We should do a
kind
commercial,
of we should do a commercial.
TV
That'd be
commercial
so much fun. Yeah, yeah. At least to play on like PBS or something, It'd be cool to just have a little slot.
at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we just do this show on national TV or just add it as well.
Um, yeah, hopefully that answered your question. It's kind of general. Wasn't really sure where we're supposed to go with that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that's it for today's. Oh, we got one more from Kim. This will be the last one. Can't forget Kim. Kim's over in our Facebook group and
Very active,
one of our
very
faves.
top level knight.
One of our favorites. He's always in there stirring stuff up and having a good old time. All right. What do you use when you write the words, descriptions of articles, and how do you populate the content in different variants? Not really sure if I understand this question.
Can't say I do either.
What do you use when you write the words,
People, um,
description?
no automatic stuff. Is this part of like another question?
I don't know, no. Kim, I don't think we're having a hard time understanding your question. If you're still there, definitely try to maybe clarify it a bit. We're not really sure what you're talking about here. What do you use when you write the words description of articles? We write it ourselves, or
Yeah.
like if you're talking about like the meta description or something, I like to handle the on page kind of directly myself. Um, as far as the words of the article go, we're not using AI or anything.
Oh, well, we do use Yoast. I don't know if that's geared towards this question, but I just looked at it based on what you were talking about. I was like, I mean,
I don't let Yoast do anything automatically.
no, yeah, we do it, yeah, but we you
Um,
use the plugin.
I was saying, are you writing the content and spin it? Um,
No, we don't spin
no,
content.
yeah, we don't spin any content. All the content we have written, we're not even messing with AI content right now. Or I'm not. Have you messed with AI
Uh,
yet, Nick? No.
no, and I haven't messed around with spun content in like, I mean,
Yeah,
6, 7 years
I'm
probably.
definitely not spinning. Um, it's all human generated. We don't use anything to automate any kind of on page or the articles itself or anything like that. It's all human. Um, what I have heard that some people are using AI to write essentially like the first draft of an article. And then so the writer, they're having the writer first do that using AI. And then the writer goes and basically does a very big edit. They have to change a lot of stuff, but they're using it to kind of add this a little bit of like a backbone or like a just kind of a path of where they can go with the article. Kind of does a little bit of research for them as well because it pulls all this information into it, right? But it's not something I've really messed with. And even then, they're heavily editing it. They're just using it as like the yeah, just a guide basically, rather than the content itself. But yeah, we don't auto generate anything. Um, and actually, as far as AI content goes, it's something we posted in the group the other day. But Google Google has come out and said that AI generated content is against their guidelines and that they can give manual penalties for it. I haven't heard of anyone, I haven't seen people saying, oh, I got penalized for AI content, blah, 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 this and that yet. But if you just think about what's going on now and you think about how many people are starting to use AI content, this is going to be a big problem for Google, right? Especially as the AI gets better.
Better.
And I'm not really sure how they're going to fight it. but the fact is right now that they know it's a problem, and they say that they can target it via manual inspection, which again, I
Okay. I
people
mean,
that
I'm
work with
like,
AI
just
content a lot, I know that they say like I can tell this is AI content. So maybe a manual inspector could with some kind of certainty, I guess. I don't know.
I'd
Um,
have to look at like 50 articles across like a bunch of different
yeah.
AI platforms in order to be able to like even see if I can't find similarities in there. But see, like in my head, I'm imagining that it probably reads more like somebody who, it's not first language. But then again, if it's like mathematically pulled information from somewhere, then at some point, I don't know, Google's got just such high budget and should be so far advanced in comparison to these small companies. That I again, we talk a lot about if it's broke, don't fix it here. We've got recipes that we use, we've got teams for good content, etc. The time for us looking for loopholes in the system, at least for content, in my opinion, it's just not there. I couldn't imagine that I'd save that much more money or time. Um, in order to want to even like move out or risk anything at this point. Human capital, I just feel like I can trust more, and definitely have more control over. Unless like, what you were saying, where you would just use it as like a skeleton outline and then pass it off.
Yeah, but you're doing major changes, so it's not even close to the same thing when you're done to
Yeah, usually rewriting a piece of content is harder than
it.
writing it a lot,
Don't even mention to that me right now.
My case studies, I've been working on it,
Well,
okay?
I'm
I've
thinking about
worked.
something. I'm not thinking about your case study. I'm thinking about something
Oh,
else.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but anyway, he's got an interesting follow up to this. So, um, would you say it would be safe to use AI or spun content as a description for backlinks? And so he's talking about things like bookmarks, social profile descriptions, etc. So basically pillow links, like things like
So,
social profiles,
yeah.
um,
So
maybe
I would
citation business descriptions.
I
I don't
would
know.
rather write one solid, description and copy paste that rather than using spun stuff, quite honestly, across pillow link profiles.
Yeah.
Um, that when I first started SEO, within the first couple of years, I remember Stanford put out a you know a piece on Google's ability to know whether a piece of content was spun on X amount of different variables, et cetera. And that's not even talking about Google. That's talking about students at Stanford looking into something and then writing, an algorithm that would be able to snipe such content. So I never really had luck with that. I think anything that again is geared towards the spammier side of things. I've messed around with all sorts of stuff that was spammier, historically, and it never worked out. Like once I really just started working hard, for lack of a better word, on certain things like content or things that I originally wanted to skimp on. And yeah, there's not going to be turning back for me anytime soon that I could imagine.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because we were just talking about in an earlier question about how having unique descriptions across your citations or social profiles or whatever, having unique descriptions would be better. And now you're saying I would rather have a non-unique description that's not spun.
Yeah, that's
So,
not spun. Yeah,
so
so unique description that's actually well written. Not
yeah,
I
we're
don't know
establishing a
how many
hierarchy
people.
here. So at the top of the shit hierarchy, at the top
Yeah.
of the pile of shit, or so the worst smelling shit or whatever is like spun AI auto-generated
Yeah,
stuff.
have you ever read 500 words spun fucking 200 times? Like it doesn't read like anything. Like it doesn't even read like somebody whose fifth language is English. Like it reads just as gibberish garbage,
Yeah.
right? A long time ago, that worked perfectly fine. But over time, of course, like if it's going to be an issue, then Google's got to work really hard at sniping that issue, or they're going to risk, a lot of their business kind of falling apart. So SEO, especially gray hat or black hat, is a cat and mouse
I'll
game.
give you a little advice on this, a little actionable tip. So instead of using, even though this stuff, I will say this, even though, so like citation, business descriptions, social bookmarks, social profiles, all of these things, if you were going to use spun or AI content anywhere, I feel like these things would be probably the safest place you could use them, because it just
Yeah,
doesn't matter that much. But what I would rather do is just spend, I don't know, roughly 60 seconds and write maybe three different descriptions.
yeah.
So you're not just doing the same one, but just do three different ones, and then you can just alternate them out and copy and paste. Just just use all three of them instead of the same one over and over and over again. Um,
You you've got to imagine that from a quote natural standpoint, we're picturing, and let's just talk about a local website, in the construction niche or something like that, where they're on these different profiles. They don't know what SEO is, how it works, etc. Typically, and just from the enormous amount of local business owners that I've worked with, they're pretty fucking lazy, and they're going to write one and then they're going to copy and paste it across countless different places. But something that they're not going to do is spin content. So I would go with the lazy natural narrative versus the we're trying to game the system and we know what we're doing type situation, right? That's going to play into the overall naturalness of your backlink profile.
and he's also asking if we think that AI content will become basically in the same in Google's eyes as spammy backlinks. And you can tell that Google already views it like that. Google already says this is against the rules and we will penalize for it if we can catch it. The question is, can
Can
they
they
catch it?
catch it? Yeah.
And it's hard. I think it's a lot harder than catching auto-generated backlinks, for example. Um, and I don't think the AI content producers are going to stop here. I think they're going to keep getting better. As AI gets smarter and evolves more, I think it's going to get harder and harder for Google. So it's definitely going to be an interesting like cat and mouse game to watch, right? My general advice would be for now to stay away from it. You can use it as an outline like we were talking about before, but I wouldn't put this on anything that I really care about at this point in time. I know some people are saying they do it like on their YouTube videos or whatnot. But yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
too
we don't really talk too much about YouTube or social media SEO.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's kind of its own monster, right? Like YouTube is its completely own thing. Like the descriptions really don't matter that much as far as how YouTube is doing engagement and how they recommend the videos and whatnot. It's more kind of I mean, it matters having keywords and stuff in there or whatever, but what really matters on YouTube is like engagement. Um, but yeah, I just can't recommend that people go
I
and they're
mean,
using it.
people are talking about it so much that I almost want to just jump on, get an SEO roundtable and tell me what AI content providers I should try out, and I'll do a little sample of a handful of them, and I'll toss them on a site that does real well with content that I use, and we can compare and contrast
Let's just
how they resonate in the SERPs.
we should just grab like an expired
Because I'm
domain. We
like,
should just grab like a
maybe I'm the asshole here, and I should be at least mixing in some of the AI content with the blue with the other stuff.
we should just grab a domain that we have like an aged or expired domain or whatever out of the pile, throw a bunch of AI content on it, fire up GSA and just blast that puppy with content and GSA links all day and just see what we can do.
It will do nothing, guaranteed.
Or we could at least just grab like an
But we could do a
expired
normal
and throw up
backlink
a ton of
profile.
AI content on the expired or age domain, whatever.
Yeah.
Better to have one that's
Yeah.
already resonating. That's still kind of in
Yeah,
Google
even
and
just repurposing the old referring domains to inner pages, get all
just
those,
see what it does.
mapped out
Just
and built out, just let it sit for 6 months and then, hey, here's what it did.
yeah,
Minimal effort.
yeah, it'll be a
Um,
cool little test. But all right, I think we are going to go ahead and call it there, guys.
like, comment, subscribe.
Yes, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Come join us in our Facebook group, the SEO Roundtable, or you could just search for Sir Links a lot on Facebook groups. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, or we might be changing it. Who knows?
Oh,
But
yeah.
we'll definitely we'll let you know if we're going to be changing times or anything like that. But it's something we've been talking about. But yeah, all right, guys. Thanks for showing up. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Later.